What are you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy BucketHatSam, and we are back again today for another video. Today's video, I'm doing my most overrated Premier League 11 right this very second. But before we get into it, please do smash the like button and do subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're building a lovely community here. I reply to every single comment. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so this is going to be controversial. Now, I know I'm going to annoy a lot of people with this, but I'm going to try and back up my points just so you get where I'm coming from. So in goal, we're going straight in with Ederson. Now, Ederson for me is definitely the most overrated keeper. Now, this is the reason for this, and a lot of people might just say, well, he's not rated. He's not rated by anyone. But for me, the guy doesn't even rank in the top 5 goalkeepers right now in the Premier League for save percentages, and he's playing right now for arguably the best side on the planet. There is an argument for that, and a lot of people keep putting him in discussions with your likes of Alisson, your likes of Ramsdale's, your Reyes, and players like that. Now, where I really struggle with this is I understand why he's in that system. I understand why he plays for Manchester City, and I understand he has a massive effect, and he's very good for Manchester City. He fits the system. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. He suits Manchester City, but as a goalkeeper, I don't think he's world class. I don't think he's in a discussion with the keepers I mentioned, like your David Reyes, your Ramsdales, your Alissons, and all Vicarios. So there's loads of players that you can go through and discuss like that. So I personally think Ederson is overrated just in that sense. I don't think he's one of the best in the Premier League, and I know a lot of people do say he is. As an actual goalkeeper, no. Distribution, yes, probably the best in the world, but goalkeeping wise, I don't have him as the best, so that's why I personally think he's overrated, because I keep seeing him in these discussions. Left back, we have got Ben Chilwell. Now, this is a sticky one. Now, the reason for this is because I think I overrated him at one point. At one point, I was arguing that this guy should be playing left back for England, and I think we've found out and we've seen, especially in recent times, I know he's had a lot of injuries at his time at Chelsea, but as an actual left back, I don't think he really suits the system. I don't think he fits as a left back, and that's why we've seen Pochettino putting him further forward, playing him as a left winger rather than a left back, because he just doesn't suit it. Defensively, he's quite weak, and he's been found out quite often positionally wise, so I can see why. And they tried to buy Cucurella to fill that hole and fill that void, and then they've tried signing other players. Now you see Colwill playing there at left back. So personally, I think Ben Chilwell's probably the most overrated left back in the league, just purely down to the fact that people keep discussing him, saying that he should be playing for England, starting every week. And if he can't even get into this Chelsea squad, then I think it says enough, doesn't it, really? Let's be honest. And we've seen Chelsea fans booing him recent times. So yeah, he's my one that I'm going to go in straight as overrated. Now to the centre-backs. Now I've gone for 3 centre-backs here. I'm going for a 5 at the back. Yes, you heard me. I can't believe it as well. 5 at the back. So my first centre-back, I am going for the butcher, Martinez, Lisandro Martinez. Now this is a player I really struggle with, and I don't get it personally. I don't get this whole massive thing that he's one of the best defenders in the league, and everyone goes on about him, discussing how good he is, saying he's top 5. I don't think he makes the top 5 centre-backs in the league, personally. I don't rate him, and a lot of people really rate his aggression and his passion, and do you know what? That's second to none, and that's great. But positioning-wise, I think he's poor. I still think he's weak. I still don't think he's suited to the Premier League. And a lot of people will say, oh, but he's aggressive and he's strong and things. But I still think you've got to be taller. Like you've seen him, he got bullied by Ivan Toney at times. He's probably going to get bullied by your likes of Mikel Antonio's, your Callum Wilsons. And I just struggle with him, and a lot of injuries. And a lot of people go on about his ball-playing centre-back. Yes, I get that, but he's been not great, let's be honest. I know he's had a lot of injury problems yet again, but I just personally don't think he's as good as people like to make him out as. So yeah, I'm going to go with Lisandro Martinez as one of my centre-backs. Now on to the other centre-back, I am going to go for Romero for Tottenham Hotspur. Now this is one off the back of a video I did last week. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out already. I did a Spurs and Liverpool combined 11, and I said that I don't think Romero is in that team. I also did a Premier League team of the season so far, and everyone told me Romero is like the best, and he's probably been the best centre-back in the league. Personally, I don't think he is, and I think he looks a lot better because he's got Van der Ven next to him, but I still don't really I'm still not convinced by him. I look at Romero and I think he's irrational, he's erratic, he's got a mistake in him, he's probably too aggressive sometimes, gets needless fouls, gives needless fouls away, gets yellow cards unnecessarily. I know I don't like to use the word passion merchant, but he does play on the edge a bit, and I don't really like that, especially when you compare him to the other players. When you think of your likes of Van Dijks, your Van der Vens, your Ruben Diaz, your John Stones, they don't have that edge because you don't need to. He goes to ground too often, and we always talk about Maldini's comments that if he had dirty shorts, he knew he'd had a poor game. So personally, I think Romero has got to be in there. And as well, we've got to think about the fact that, look, everyone's forgotten the performance against Arsenal. In the big game, he really messed up and nearly lost them. Well, potentially could have cost them that entire game. He tried his hardest. He was probably Arsenal's man of the match, as we spoke about recently on my podcast. It's called BucketHatSam Socials podcast on all platforms. Go check it out. But yeah, I'm not convinced by Romero. I just think he's a bit too erratic for me. And I think he's starting to look better, don't get me wrong, but I think that's because of Van der Ven. And I don't, again, people have been telling me he's the best centre-back in the league. I don't think he even makes top 5 again. Now on to the next centre-back. We're going for Raphael Varane. Now, this is purely down to the fact it gives me Lloris vibes in the sense of everyone tells me, well, he's a World Cup winner. He's won all these Champions Leagues. Well, right now, he's not good enough. Like, he's been really poor for Man United since he's joined. And he spoke about really struggling to acclimatise to the league and the pressures and the physicality, the aggressiveness, the pace in which the game's playing at. Well, he still doesn't look like he's actually acclimatised to it. He's still struggling. He still looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He still constantly finds himself in positions where he's lost. You think, what is he doing there? Constantly having other players trying to recover and constantly covering him, and he's always getting injured, as we said. I don't think he's cut out for the Premier League. And another one that a lot of people say, oh, he's one of the best centre-backs in the league. I'm still not convinced. Yes, I know he had a good season last season. He was part of a side that got the most clean sheets, but this season, This season, I think he's been great, to be honest. I'm not entirely convinced with the player, and I wasn't last season, to be honest. But yeah, so I'm going to go for Raphael Varane as the other centre-back. Now, on to my right-back. Now I'm going to go for Diego Dalot, and I know a lot of people are going to say, you're going for an entire Man United defence here. But that's probably because I still think they're riding the wave of the Golden Glove, the most clean sheets last season. Like, Dalot I look at as a player, and I still don't know what his strengths are. I still don't look at him and think, what is he actually good at? And I spoke about this recently on the podcast. I don't think there are many sides in the Premier League that he'd get into. Your likes of Luton, your Evertons, your Bournemouths, and teams like that, I think he'd get into. But bar that, I can't think of any other sides that he'd actually get into right now. You look at it with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and you think, I know what his strengths are, like he's defensively strong, whereas Dalot's not great going forward and he's not great defensively. He's just kind of one of those players that it's just okay. Like, I just don't get it, and I don't think he should really be a Man United player, and he's overrated quite clearly by Ten Hag because he's getting so many minutes. So now moving on to the two midfielders, I'm going to go as the first one as Conor Gallagher. Now, this one's an interesting one because I know he had a good game against Fulham and a lot of people really like him at Chelsea, the fact that he's captain's armband. Now, I think he's only the captain purely down to the fact that Chelsea have signed all of these players. Like, they've signed so many players, and it's just a bit chaotic at the moment. He's kind of one of their own, kind of those players that you give the captain's armband to, kind of trust them because they understand Chelsea. They've come through the youth system. They usually support the club. They kind of understand what it means to be a Chelsea player. Don't get me wrong, I understand why he's playing. But personally, I think unless the uncertainty and everything was going on in this transition at Chelsea, I don't think he even would be in the starting 11. We think about it a season ago, he was trying to be sold. Like, they were trying to get rid of him. West Ham were knocking on the door. Load of other clubs were knocking on the door. And he looked better when he was at Palace and West Brom. I think that's more like his level. Personally, I don't think he's good enough really to be starting for Chelsea, let alone to be captain. So I understand why he's in the team, and I get it. But personally, I do think he's overrated because he shouldn't even be in that. And as well, playing an international level for England, I don't think he should be even near the England squad. I don't think, especially when you think of like the magicians and the players we've got in that squad, I can't believe he's even with the discussion. Now moving on to the other midfielder, I'm going to go for Casemiro. Now, we talk about Fabinho falling off last season. I think this is the biggest fall off we've seen in recent years. Casemiro, Champions League winner, comes to Man United, sets the league alight, scoring goals. Distribution was great. He looked like an absolutely brilliant signing. Don't know what's happened over the summer, because since the summer, this guy is so slow. His legs don't move. He's like a Sunday League referee. Can't get out of that centre circle. I look at him and just think he's a mistake waiting to happen. Constantly, his disciplinary record is dreadful, but a lot of it's because he's so slow. Like, he's always 2 seconds behind everything, so he's constantly giving needless fouls away. So Casemiro, the fact that he's still considered to be one of the better holding midfielders in the league, I think is ridiculous. Like, I don't think he should be starting for Man United now. That's the kind of level he's at, personally, in my opinion. You may disagree. Now moving on to the front three. So I'm going to have on the left Garnacho. Now, I think the thing is with Garnacho, I think he's kind of his success. He's made it a lot more difficult for himself because he started so well. So we all set these ridiculous standards for him, including myself. I thought this guy was the next coming of Ronaldo at one point when he played against Leeds last season. I'm only joking. Obviously, I didn't think he was that level, but we all thought he was going to be amazing, didn't we? We kind of saw the way he came in, and he absolutely took the league by storm. Was direct, driving at players, tenacity, goals, absolutely everything. But because he set that high standard now, everyone's expecting it. So I think he's overrated because I don't think he's at that level. I think he might have just gone through a purple patch, had a good couple of games, because we've not seen anything like it since. So yeah, That's my overrated one, because I think when we talk about youngsters, he's considered to be one of the best in the league, where I'm not really convinced. Now, onto the other side, Kulusevski. Now, I think Kulusevski's overrated purely down to the fact that we all still are riding on that form he showed when he came, I think it was 2 seasons ago when he came on loan to Tottenham, because really hasn't replicated that at all. People discuss him as being one of the better wingers in the league, but I think he's just average. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's great. I don't think he's exactly what Spurs need. Spurs really, if they want to really push on for Champions League football and things, I think they need an improvement on him. I think they need to really try and invest in that position and maybe get somebody who's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more output, a bit more exciting. I'm not convinced by Kulusevski, and I think he's still riding that wave from 2 seasons ago. And the final one, the striker. Now, I feel bad saying this because I do really like him as a player. Eddie Nketiah is my most overrated striker in the league, purely because he's getting so many minutes for Arsenal, and it's ridiculous. We talk about the project that Arsenal are going for, and the project and the big picture, and they're going to win the league in the future. That's what they're trying to do. I'm not convinced by Eddie Nketiah. His control, it's always like he's controlling a beach ball. It bounces off him about 5 yards. Dribbling, I don't think he's great. I don't think he's what Arsenal need. And again, we talk about Eddie Nketiah, and you look at other sides. What sides would he get into? And I look down the league, and I don't think any of the top 6 sides would have him. I think none of them would allow him to be getting as many minutes as he is for Arsenal. I think that's why he's a little bit overrated. I don't personally think he's good enough really to be in a top 6 side, in a big 6 side. So that's my opinion. So yeah, I'm going to reel off my team just once more for you, just so you can, just before we finish the video, just so you can get it again. So my most overrated Premier League 11 right now in the league. In goal is Edison. I don't think he's great. As an actual shot stopper, he's not good enough. Right back, we're looking at Diego Dalot. I'm still not convinced and understanding of what he actually does. He's not very good defensively, and he's not great going forward. I still just think he's just a passenger in every game. Now, to the 3 centre-backs, I've got Romero for Tottenham, just erratic, irrational, and he doesn't make the top 5 centre-backs in the league. Next, we've got the butcher, Lisandro Martinez. Literally, the best attribute he has is his stare downs that he does at other players. I still don't think he's got the physicality to be playing in this league. I think he's been found out quite often. Other centre-back, we've got Rafael Varane. People go on about his Champions League, as I've said before. I just think he's been really poor, and he still hasn't acclimatised the league. Really, again, struggling with the physicality. Left-back, we've got Ben Chilwell. Centre-mid partnership of Casemiro. His legs have just gone. It's a shame to see, to be honest. The fall-off has been insane. And Conor Gallagher, he's only in that side, let's be honest, because he's a Chelsea youngster. That is it. That is the only reason. And then to the front 3, Garnacho on the one side. Then on the other side, we've got Kulusevski. Hasn't showed great form since that loan when he initially came to Tottenham about 2 seasons ago, and I still think he's riding that wave. And up top, Eddie Nketiah does not get into any other big 6 side, maybe even top half the table side. I don't think he gets in any of those squads personally. But yeah, that is it. My Premier League most overrated 11. Please, as I said before, comment down below your thoughts, smash the like button, and do subscribe. Videos coming daily as we keep going, and we keep pushing. We're aiming to try and get 4K subscribers by the end of the year. But thank you for watching. BucketHatSam over and out. Thank you. Goodbye.